Keep kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise. It's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking, the martial arts podcast where I have martial conversations with my martial arts friends. Today, I sit down with Lauren. Lauren, would you like to introduce yourself for the people?
What's up? I am Lauren Cloutier. I go by Miss Clue. I own Legacy Martial Arts and Fitness in Southeastern. I've been doing martial arts on and off since 2001, and I've owned my school now for 2 years next month.
Awesome. Congratulations on
Thank you.
almost the 2-year anniversary. How'd you get started in martial arts?
My earliest memory of martial arts is there was a karate school right around the corner from my house. My dad brought me there, and we watched like the older kids' classes. And I think I was still too little to start, but I don't know. I remembered it years later, and a friend of mine went to an intro at the school, and I tagged along with her, and I got stuck to it, I guess.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you, okay, wait. So I've been trying very early on. My ADHD does not always get me to this point, but
That's okay. I understand that.
for anybody that is watching this that is not into martial arts, anybody this is the only question that is asked for the non-martial artist, in hopes that like maybe somebody's been Googling it, looking into it, and this pops up on the algorithm because of that. What advice do you give to somebody that hasn't started martial arts but is looking into it?
Start.
That's right. That's absolutely
Just
right.
start. I think, I have a lot of friends in a lot of different martial arts. I don't think one martial art is superior to any other. I do a martial arts school owners meeting where I meet up with, a handful of people in South Shore, Massachusetts. And I don't know, we just kind of talk about what we do and how it's beneficial to everybody. And, find a teacher that works for you, I guess would be a good piece of advice too. Not every teacher is going to click with every student, but everybody can learn martial arts. I think everybody should.
So that's a very, very common response. And I always tag that response with, and give yourself grace to be wrong. If you pick the wrong school and you're there for a month, it's okay to stop and to start with somebody else. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to excuse yourself, to leave. It's okay to continue the search. So, okay. Now that we got that out of the way, what's it like being a girl in the boys' club, so to speak?
It definitely feels like that sometimes, though.
Right.
It definitely
And
does.
I try my best to make sure that it doesn't, but I can't
Yeah, it
speak for
happens. That
all.
it's just I don't know. It's I love it and I hate it to say the least. It's one of those things. I think as much as it is like women's rights and things like that, and like I can't lie that if I say that being a woman hasn't opened doors for me as well.
Okay.
I think sometimes it's hard for me in a group of old grandmasters to be heard,
Mm,
but at the same time, I do feel as though parents flock to me quicker.
it's cool.
Yeah, so but again, I think it's just being a woman kinda thing, like, there's a little more trust there, unfortunately, right? Like, I feel like I have to
Mm,
say
mhm,
unfortunately.
mhm.
Hashtag not all men, I guess, I don't know. But,
No.
but but, but I've definitely experienced kind of both ends of the spectrum, I feel like.
For
But
sure.
I don't know, my favorite places to train are just when I don't know, when I'm treated as a student, But at the same breath, like, I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Mm,
I actually had to stop because I have a wicked back injury, but I love going into Brazilian jiu-jitsu school, and it's all dudes, and they're just but it's such a brotherly, like, almost like military brotherhood atmosphere, and for whatever reason, I tend to thrive off that. Maybe some women don't, but I tend to.
that's
Um,
fair. That's fair.
yeah, but yeah, it's a double-edged sword, I would say, for
For
sure.
sure. Well, I think a lot of it is unintentional,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, of course.
like men are more inclined to want to hit each other. Men
Yeah.
are more inclined to want to be rough or aggressive or whatever. And so then it does just kind of become a boys club unintentionally. And then there is the other side effect where you get a group of men together and the testosterone starts bouncing off of each other. And then we start making sexual jokes and we start doing this, we start doing that. And, it's not good, but we just do it. We
Yeah, I
just do
usually
it.
try to throw them off, and I, like, make a joke about myself, and that really that really messes with their heads.
Experience is grabbing someone and pulling them in close and you take a sniff and then you say, you smell different when you're awake.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
So I mean, that it always like
I mean,
gets
we
a
all
good
know jujitsu's pretty gay as it is. It just is what it is, but,
for
we can all admit that in its own way,
for
right?
sure.
I love it, though. Coming from, like, traditional martial arts, so I'm my style is ITF Taekwondo, but
Mhm.
it's a very old style. It's called Otakwan, and it's not really practiced much anymore. It's like a military style. So coming from that and then getting onto a jujitsu mat, it was like,
Almost 9 day, I would imagine.
yeah, it's like, you know, you're a black belt in one aspect of
Mhm.
martial arts, right? And all of a sudden you go into a different gym and you realize that your experience was all two-dimensional. And
Yes.
now this gym is expanding it into like 3 and 4 dimensions. It's crazy. I love it though. I do love the, like, I don't know, there really is like a good brotherhood aspect of it, which
Mhm.
again, I don't know why, but I like to fit right into that sometimes. I like to be one of the bros, you know?
No, that's good. Where's this back injury come from? Hopefully not jujitsu.
No, kind of actually. So,
Oh,
5 years
no.
ago, I was in a pretty bad car accident. Yeah, so head-on collision. Long story short, I broke my right talus bone, so my right ankle was pretty busted. Kinda got back onto the mat teaching too fast.
Mm,
Ignored some physical therapy,
'kay.
suffering the consequences 5 years later.
That is the telltale sign of the average martial arts practitioner. We wanna get
Right?
back
You
too
get back
quick.
on the mat too fast.
My instructor, my base style is Shaolin Kempo. My instructor, she is one of the most badass people I've ever met in my entire life. She's been hit by a car twice, 2
Damn.
separate oc 2 separate
Look like car okay?
the second time, she was teaching, like, days later. She was on a bicycle and sideswiped by a car, and it threw her off the bicycle after hitting her knee, and she was like days later, like teaching. It's like, you could go back to the house. You don't have to be here. Like, just, we got it. Yeah.
You know why though? It's because we don't because we're like, "Yeah, we know you got it, but we no, it's my
Yeah,
responsibility." I would do the
for
same thing.
sure.
It's
For
just
sure.
like, I don't know, you make that commitment to, like, make a change in people's lives,
Absolutely.
and you take any
Absolutely.
time off of that, and you almost feel guilty for doing that.
Absolutely. So, what's it like being a female student or a school owner? And then the part two to that is you're fairly new on the school owner side of things. Has school ownership changed the way that you teach or the way that you present as an instructor?
That's a good question. Off the bat, to the second part of that question about changing the way that I teach as an instructor, I think it has actually, but in a way that I feel not that I wasn't confident before, but I definitely feel more confident teaching
Mm,
what I want to teach and what I believe is the right way in the martial arts. You know what I mean?
for sure.
To be able to even have that opportunity to be able to say that, well, this, like, I'm calling this my style. You know what I mean? This is my school and this is the way I want to teach it. Like, to be able to have that opportunity is like just awesome. Um, I was stuck. I shouldn't say stuck in, but I was hired by a. You already know what I'm gonna say. By a large martial arts franchise, we'll say that,
Yeah.
which will go unnamed. But I was hired by them and I was teaching a curriculum that just didn't.
Mm,
And, for me and probably for you too, growing up in Shaolin Kempo, was it
yeah.
Kempo or yeah.
Yeah.
Martial arts is supposed to be hard. And as much as like you can give kids push-ups and sit-ups and make them do exercises, the actual martial arts part is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to hold your leg up until you sweat and can feel
Hmm.
it the next day, so I wanted to do more like hardcore training and stuff like that. Their curriculum was very like American kickboxing,
Mm,
but like softer. I don't want to insult American kickboxing. I don't want to insult
right.
kickboxing.
Right.
But they had, it was McDojo to say,
Hmm.
and I think with certain franchise schools, they're hit or miss because you
Hmm.
can get one with a really good instructor. Um,
Sure.
which I was nominated for instructor of the year, I think 2022, 2023. So my kids always look pretty good. Then you look around to the other schools and the kids that are supposed to be the same level as yours,
Hmm.
like there's just there's a lack of standard. So I don't know. I think owning my own school, it's definitely like, I don't know, I just have the opportunity to teach the way that I was taught and add my own style to it and it works, I
Hmm.
guess. We're going
Right.
strong. We took home I took 21 competitors to a tournament last weekend and total first, second, and third place rankings, we got 20 medals we took home. Crazy. We've only been open for not even 2 years. So,
That's great. So when you opened your school, did you convert over a pre-existing school or did you just flat out
sort
yes.
of. So that school ended up the owner laid me off because he
Mm,
basically said, "I can't afford you anymore." I was the only
that
head
happens.
instructor that school ever had. So for 3.5 years or so, yeah, 3.5 years, uh, I was all those kids had for an instructor. Now you have he had 11 students that were about to test for black belt for the first time, the first graduating class from that school. And he had to lay me off right before that. So when he closed, long story short, he lasted 2 weeks without me, which is kind of crazy.
Okay.
And then he filed for bankruptcy.
Okay.
So the school really closed down. But I was able to get some of his contacts in his books and stuff like that. It was really cool because I like grouped my whole little community together and we met up in a park and all the moms and dads put their brains together and was like, what are we gonna do? How are you gonna teach our kids? after a very long 8 months, we were able to build legacy.
That is a great genesis of a building of a school. That's some of the
It's
best
a
that
we have
I've
a
ever
cool story. We have a cool story, and I
that's
did take those 11 students to black belt,
that's really cool.
with no school, so
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was fun.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Like, bankruptcies happen, layoffs happen, sometimes running the school is difficult, and if
Yeah,
you got somebody that's doing it lackadaisically or even somebody that's just trying, it
yeah.
can fail.
I
So,
think with a lot of those, like, and again, it really depends on where you go and what teacher you get and stuff like that, but a lot of those
sure.
franchise schools are, they're built to have an owner that's hands off,
Yes.
and with a martial arts school, that's just not a thing.
Right.
You have to build a community if you want a successful school.
Sure.
You can't be hands off, you know?
Not a McDonald's
No, you
franchised.
just
Yeah,
can't. You
for
can't
sure.
hire the right people and hope that it runs well.
For sure. I think that, in my opinion, like if you decided to franchise and have 2 locations, you could do that and have a head instructor at each location where you then see 2 locations. I think it's possible to do that, but I don't think it's possible to like buy into a franchise and I run my school by their
Yeah,
rule. Like, I think the difference is the ownership and accountability for the community that's being built and also the curriculum being taught. But
right.
my opinion.
You also have when you have that too, they weren't exactly requiring black belts to be school owners either.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? So now you have somebody who has, like, maybe some experience in the martial arts. I actually lucked out. I got a school owner that did have some experience.
Mhm.
Most people did not that were hired by
Mhm.
that company. So they have no idea what it's like to I grew up in, around the corner from my martial arts school. I had friends there, and I went there after school, and I went there on the weekends, and I was practicing all the time, and it's just a if you can't create the culture, then, like, you can't do it.
For sure. For sure. Okay, so now we're going to go to the difficult question that I've
Yes,
been
sir.
asking. And the difficult question, it comes from that document that I sent you because I'm teaching a lot of people that are disenfranchised, people that are nonviolent, and they're only interested in, I don't use the word self-defense, but self-preservation. They're interested in making sure they can go home safe. They're interested in making sure that the people that they are with can go home safe, but they're not necessarily interested in the violence aspect of it. So the question starts with an omission. As a lifelong practitioner of martial arts, I recognize that I'm equal parts sadistic and masochistic, and I'm probably in the minority. The average person that comes through our dojo doors are not that. So the question is, how do we teach nonviolent people to speak the language of violence when it's necessary?
Question. Good question. It's easier for some than others, right?
For sure.
Um, I think it's just a slow build of confidence. I think I usually put it to parents that, like, I don't teach yes, I teach violence, right? Like, I teach
Mhm.
about violence, but I mostly teach how to recognize and redirect violence,
Mm.
you know, but also how to use violence to our advantage because we are being violently attacked or have a violent encounter. So to be able to still turn that on while controlling it still. What was your question? Something about
You were already
violence. So
you were answered it. How do you teach
I did. Okay, good.
nonviolent people to speak the language of violence? I think personally for me, it's easier for kids.
Yeah, of course, they're blank slates, right?
Adults' minds get in the way. And if I teach the kid just the proper structure and we just drill the proper structure over and over and over again, that structure comes out when it's needed to come out. And I think that we don't give kids enough credit for the emotional acuity and maturity that they have to where they do know those things. They know now's not the time for it to come out, or it comes out playfully, or,
Right,
whatever.
right, right. Yeah.
I remember I was teaching a kids class some 20 years ago, and one of my most troubling but also favorite kids, Mark, he was standing there in front position with everybody else, and he kept looking over at the kid next to him. Like you could tell that there's something mischievous. And he just out of nowhere lights this kid up with like 4 crane's wings. It was just like blah 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 blah. And they just started laughing.
Oh my god.
So knew it was coming. It's like, Mark, you can't do that. He's like, I know.
God,
So,
I think even in some aspects, it's almost easier in some ways, right? Because nothing's ever definite. But in some ways, it's easier to teach a non-violent kid about violence than teach a violent kid how to bring that violence down.
ooh,
Sometimes,
yeah. And I mean, that's not just even kids, like adults are the same way.
yeah,
That's part of what I don't know if you know this or not, but the internet is not the best place to be.
I have heard
So
this. I have heard it.
but like the martial arts community online is very much like, no, that won't work. That's not my style. That's not how you should do it. And I can't understand it because we were at one point in time open-minded enough to go try a thing, right?
And
All
try
of us.
specifically the thing that we opted to try, right?
Right, right. And so then we try the thing and we're like, oh no, that's the thing. And then we close our mind back off to being like, that's the only thing. I think that the internet being the place that it is a mirror of that insecurity that we just touched on. You have a violent adult who found some sort of peace in name the style, in karate, in boxing, in Muay Thai, in jujitsu, in whatever. And so then they like cling to that and everything else is wrong because everything else has to be wrong so that my way can be right. And it's really about that
Hello?
deficit. That's okay. I'm gonna leave them in too, so that they'll see it. Because I think it's
That's fine.
funny. I don't edit a lot of the random minutia because it's about the conversation for me. So to expand just a little bit, you saw I sent you my syllabus for the class that I'm teaching. I was teaching it one day and like we were talking about stuff and it's like, and then now's when you really get a chance to, get yours in, like we've done the defensive stuff and now it's time to get, and one of the students was like, but I don't want to do that. How do you do that as a martial artist? And so then I explained like, as a martial artist, we kind of are like, well, I'm talking to you right now. You're a person, but then when it's time for us to fight, you're not a person. And I flipped this switch inside and now you're just a body. And they came back at me and they're like, but that's dehumanizing somebody. And we're victims and we've been dehumanized. So we don't want to do that. And like that stopped me in my tracks.
Interesting.
I'm a victim of childhood abuse. I've been dehumanized. I'm okay with it. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
just broken some way on the inside that what you got to do is you got to break on the inside. No, but
Maybe I
so
just enjoy hurting people. You ever had that thought? No.
definitely,
Damn.
definitely
Maybe it's
like,
a me problem.
yeah, yeah. Like guys, if y'all could just let me teach you how to enjoy hurting people.
Trust me, we'll have fun.
But then I talked to another gentleman and he said, really what you need to do is you need to express to your class that there's different types of violence. And in martial arts, what we do is ceremonial violence. And so
Oh,
then you're
okay.
just participating in ceremonial violence. And then the
Feel like they
ceremonial
have
violence kind of pulls them forward into regular violence. Maybe. I don't know. I've been having this conversation for months trying to get the right answer and we haven't got there yet.
when you sent me that document, I have a similar I run a women's self-defense course every once in a while. I just do it like free at my school. But what I did
Mm-hmm.
with it is instead of because I've done women's self-defense courses before where other people wrote the curriculum or I, just put different, tactical combative self-defense techniques in and here's what you do when somebody chokes you and here's what you do when somebody bear hugs you and stuff like that. So I've done all that. And what I find is like at the end of the day, the girls are like, okay, cool. And they don't retain it. They don't, they've never been in a situation that maybe somebody's coming up and grabbing them violently like that.
Mm-hmm.
However, they have been in situations where somebody's given them like a hug they didn't want. Or, you know what I mean, came up close and,
Mm-hmm.
and grabbed the small of their back in a way that made them a little bit uncomfortable. So I do a I start my women's self-defense course working on de-escalating those situations with your body.
Mm,
So in other words, somebody comes up behind you and tries to grab you, you snake your arm in and you just, you shoulder them up and just, "Hey buddy, how you doing?" You know what I mean? It can turn into that. It can turn into my palm goes to your face if it absolutely needs to.
mm.
But I try to make it more about being in control of those situations to make you feel more confident, and then hopefully more lines don't get crossed.
Sure. I'm stealing that right now. I'm
Cool, cool.
just letting
Go
you know
ahead.
I'm stealing that. One of the things that I do is we have conversations about like, hey, if you feel like you're in trouble, leave.
Yeah, right.
And I know that that's not the best answer because you're a human and you have the right to be out. But guess what? Being upset is a condition of being alive. So that's better than the alternative. Be upset, drive home silently with the people that you care about. They're more mad at you because you got to leave, but at least you left and avoided a potential problem, you know? Or I talk in that specific class that I sent you the syllabus on, we talk a lot about controlling your face,
Like,
because
you
how often do like, you know, you're out and you see somebody wearing, let's say, political attire of something that does not represent what you are representing yourself, and you shoot a dirty look there, and that will
right,
start some sort of an altercation. So controlling your face is in some way, shape, or form self-defense.
sure, for sure. If you can't control your face, get the hell out of there.
Right. Absolutely. Like, because if you can't control your face, chances are you're going to start some shit.
Yeah, yeah. Don't look
So
at me
that,
like that.
how much time do you spend on those techniques? Typically, I don't do a self-defense seminar because I feel it's disingenuous to if you give me an hour, 2 hours, even 4 hours, like you get that thing that you've recognized. Okay, this was great. They're not going to retain anything, or they're going to be like to their boyfriend, "Hey, choke me. I want to show you what I can do." And then do this one thing and then they laugh about it. And then that's the last time they've practiced it. So what I do is clinics. And it's like a dedicated class where the idea is, hey,
Right,
come
right.
back, and then like in 6 months time, maybe they have something that does stick. But when I do those clinics, good portion of the curriculum is on that avoiding stuff. Read the room, pay attention to your gut, watch your face, just hands up. I'm not interested. I don't like that. Please no. Have people keep their distance, know where there's authorities that you can talk to, stuff like that, stuff that's not even martial.
Right, right.
So how much time do you spend on the don't touch the small of my back, so to
So
speak?
I'll do like half the class. Well, I don't start with it, I guess. I more so end with, that conversation of like, listen, this stuff isn't going to work if you don't practice it? So I always do that in my self defense classes. And those free self defense classes are, one, because everybody has the right to defend themselves. So it's just a community event that I do. But two, if I see somebody's actually interested, then I'm like, why don't you come to our adult classes? Because
Mhm,
you really want to defend yourself, then this is what I do for a living. But those little things that are just kind of like controlling the situation type of things,
mhm,
I'll spend a little while on. But what I do, and I do this with my kids' classes, and I try to make everything fun and memorable. So that way, you get attacked out in real life and you're like, how do I defend myself from this, you know, wrist grab? Let me think. Hold on, attacker. You know what I mean?
right,
Like,
right.
that's not going to happen. So I try to make it like fun and funny so people understand and can recognize when it's happening and react appropriately.
Hmm.
And, maybe it's something they find interesting enough that they take home and they're like, hey, check this out, what I learned. And you could just do this when somebody tries to, give you a big weird hug. Like what do I call the one? Oh, I call it where my hug at. See
That is
me,
a good
you just
name.
like
I
double outside
immediately
block.
know.
What's that?
I I immediately know the hug that you're talking about.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, right? Because every girl had, a weird uncle at a party that was just like, all right, dude, whatever. And those are things too where it's like, you know, you also don't want to like highlight your uncomfortability. You want to take control of it. You don't I agree, but I see it quite differently when people are like, "Well, if you're uncomfortable, vocalize it." You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Not everybody's going to listen. You know what I mean? "Hey, I'm uncomfortable by the situation." Okay, watch who you're talking to though. So building that confidence and gaining control of those situations, I feel like is more important. The mental aspect, right, is just way more important than and just not letting it get there, not letting it get to that point.
Not letting it get to that point is so important and is so much what we do as martial artists, but do not focus on in instruction.
Yeah,
Because that's the common ground for every martial arts practitioner, whether they be the tough cage fighter or they be the traditional practitioner or anything in between. We all respect the technique that we have, and we're all working of like, I don't really want to do this on somebody, so how do I
right.
avoid it? But we don't vocalize that enough.
I tell all of my students the first day they come in, I tell them that I'm gonna hold on, I sneeze. Jesus. All right. Sorry. Had a little sneezer for a second. He fell again. Jesus Christ.
I'll cut the sneeze out, but I'm
Today is
leaving the Jesus
not
in.
my day. I got my cat trying to jump at me too. I'm not gonna lie, Paul. This is don't come over here. Don't come over here.
The cat is more than welcome. I have had
No, he's not.
several.
He's not welcome.
Okay, well we've had pet cameos before.
You've been a pain in my ass all morning. All right. See, he's yelling now. What was I saying? Oh, I was gonna say one of the first things that I say when kids come in for intro lessons and stuff.
Mhm.
What? I think he's jealous. Anyway, one of the first things I say is I tell them, like, I know a lot of martial arts. I know a lot of different stuff. And I love what I do and I love teaching it. But I'm the only teacher you're ever going to meet that's going to tell you, I'll teach you everything I know, but I don't want you to use any of it.
Mm.
I don't ever want you to have to use it. If you have to use it, I want you to do it well. And I want you to make sure that you're in practice with it. Right. But at the end of the day, I don't want you to use it.
Well, I feel like that needs to hang in the air a little bit, but not for the reason that you're going to think. And
Why?
the reason, because of the first part of the statement, I will teach you everything because not like there are those teachers that are withholding some information. And
Right.
it feels
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
that's not, when I started teaching, the idea was like, this is what I've been able to do with the study. I started when I was 10. And when I was 11, I had enough martial confidence that I stood up to my abuser and I stopped my abuse as a result of that. That's pretty powerful in a year. And so then it was like, I can do this. If I give everything that I have to every student, some of those students can take that and they can add to it and then they can have more than what I've had. And so like that was the whole thing. So teaching everything you got only makes the art better.
Yeah.
And a fellow instructor of mine, a peer of mine, whatever we want to call him, if he's watching this, he'll be like, I'm one of your teachers. I'm not a peer. But he recently said, we cannot get back to martial arts. What martial arts is given to us, but we can try. And I've picked that up as a moniker. Like the only way to try is by pushing it all out, giving it all to everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the other thing is too, it's like I'm very young for what it's worth. I'm 30 years old and I just opened my school. A lot of my adult students are around my age.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even with that, like the gatekeeping aspect of it, it's sort of one of those things where it's like I totally could do that and I could be like, "Oh, I've got some more stuff for you in store down the road." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like I'm always learning too. You know what I mean? So what am I going to gatekeep?
Mm-hmm.
It's information they should know. It's information everybody should have, in my opinion. I'm just a messenger, you know?
Right, right. We're just the conduit for martial arts to flow through.
I didn't
I
invent
will
this shit.
I will also say that one of the pieces of advice that I give to anybody that is not a martial arts practitioner and is looking to get into martial arts is ask your instructor, ask the person you're interviewing before you go to the class, what's the last thing you learned? What are you
Mm,
learning now? What are you working on now? If you get a martial artist that is still not pursuing, they've
right.
become stagnant in some capacity. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, so now it's not really like a lightning round. You take as much time as you want to on these, but these are like kind of some quicker questions that I have. What do you think the average martial arts practitioner neglects in their own practice?
Oh, good question. That depends on the person, right?
Okay.
It really does.
Okay.
Everybody's just so different. I don't know. I have people neglecting their stretching. I have people neglecting
Mm,
their cardio.
mhm,
I think here's a maybe a good answer. I think the thing that I brought into what my students were learning after the old school closed down,
mhm.
um, was like that deep rooted martial arts foundation. And I think a
Yes,
lot of schools have lost that over time. And I don't just
absolutely.
mean like modesty, courtesy, integrity, and stuff like that, but like, no, how to really control the gravity of your body. You know what I
Mm,
mean? How to understand what it means to use someone's force against them, right? Because that's a thing, right? Everybody's, "Oh, you use your own force again." No, what does that mean exactly? And how do you make it real and realistic? Because that just sounds like bullshit. You know what I mean?
right,
But
right.
you and I know that there are ways that we do that, even though it's not exactly magic. And I think with the Americanization of martial arts, that's a word I'll use.
That's a box that I was trying not to open up because of
It's
the
there
taekwondo.
though.
Yeah.
Taekwondo has a horrible reputation. I will be the first to tell you that, you know.
But that's because of the American versions. Like
Yeah, it
when
is.
I first started martial arts at 10 years old, Taekwondo was the laughing stock. Do you know what
Yeah,
I'm
it
saying?
still
But
is.
that's because the American Taekwondo schools, they're just designed to be ladders to get belts and to learn points. And if you ever spar with one of them, as soon as they hit you once, they then back up because they got their
Right,
point.
right. So what I tried to do basically is like in making legacy is I had to go back to those roots because I was like, yeah, my kids know how to punch and they know how to kick and they know how to, but there's something missing. And it's like
Mm, mm-hmm,
it's almost like the heart was missing, you know?
mm-hmm.
And, I had to reteach them. It was probably one of the most difficult martial arts experiences I've ever had was having to teach these kids who have been learning for almost 3 years this, like,
Yes.
semi kickboxing curriculum, and to teach them, like, old school military style taekwondo was a really difficult thing, and we're still struggling through it 2 years later. Like, there's people with some bad habits still, but because I was told to teach a certain way, and I did, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm a good girl, I guess.
I think you'll probably like if you keep on around like year 4 or 5, you'll probably, I would imagine, have all of the bad habits from that previous you'd have
Yeah,
those out by
I
that
think
point.
so too. Like, we still have like, just as like a technical example,
Mhm.
taekwondo, you bend your knees in your guard stance. We still have people
Yes.
that are very, like, forward kickboxing style, you know what I mean? Which again, like, there's nothing wrong with. I'll have them use that in, kickboxing drills and sparring and
Mhm.
whatever else.
Mhm.
Whatever works for you, use it.
Sure.
But no matter what, you're still not getting that root with
Mhm.
something like that.
Mhm.
And that's what I think, is missing in a lot of modern martial arts schools.
Right. Well, and also like just saying, "That's great. That's not what we're working on right now."
Right. Or, "Good job, little Johnny. Here's how you can do it better."
Right, right.
"Great, little Johnny's a brown belt, but he has a half-ass roundhouse kick." It's like, why does he have the brown belt?
Poor little Johnny.
It's supposed to be hard, man. It's supposed to be difficult.
It is supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
We're stones sharpening stones is
Yeah.
not an easy task.
Right. Right.
Okay. If you could give every martial arts practitioner in the world one thing, it can be thought, concept, philosophy, teaching, technique, what would it be?
That's a good question. I would say something that has to do with, I don't know, keeping a solid base. Do you mean like technically wise or like mental wise, or can I take this anyway?
You could take this any way you want to, technical,
Okay.
mental, philosophical. You can give everybody the death punch and see what happens.
I would say check your work. I
Mm.
would say, some schools
God,
some
that's a
schools
really good answer.
thank you. I think, I'm also like, you know, I like to think I'm a pretty good teacher and I teach what I do really well.
Mhm.
I have some proof of concept now that we've been in business for 2 years. My students are doing really well, but I do
Proof
find
of
that
concept
people.
in this tournament you talked about.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Great.
But I do find that, some people, even though, not every school is super competitive and I understand that,
Mhm.
but some instructors will pull away from things like competition. And I always feel like it means that either they're not confident or they're hiding
Mhm.
something.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't want the parents to see that they're teaching something that maybe is not what other people do. Maybe they don't want
Mhm.
it to compare it to other people. Maybe they're not confident in their martial arts skills and don't want it compared to anybody else. So I think I tell my students all the time, I don't care if you win or when we get to a tournament, the conversation I have every single time is, I don't care if you get a medal today. I don't care if you lose. I don't care if you fall on your face. I don't care if you roll out of here in an ambulance. I can't, well, I do care, to be fair. I might care. Hold on. Might care a little, but at the end of the day, whether you win or lose, winning is great, but you learn so much more when you lose, and it will always be like that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I would say, yeah, checking your work. Match yourself up against the world around you and other martial artists around you,
Mhm.
and really
Mhm.
figure out how good you are.
Sure. That's great. It's a great answer. I have been teaching for 29 years, and some of that has been my own school, some of that's not been my own school. 2012, I converted a school to nonprofit, and since 2012, I haven't owned a school. I've been teaching at community centers and other places where disenfranchised people are, some rehab facilities. And this year I'm starting a school.
Cool.
And I say all that to say I have had moments in time where I encourage people to compete, whether that be in a cage or going to karate tournaments or kickboxing events. I have had moments in time where I told my students, we're not really competing because what we're doing is more traditional and we're just trying to. And I think those moments when I said not to compete was very short-sighted of me, because I started this podcast a year ago, right? And sat down and started talking to some people. And I literally was like, I've got this short list of people that I know, and I want to talk to them and get some reps in and, see how the conversations go and if I'm even going to do this thing.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm just going to start cold messaging people that I know on Facebook, like people I've never had conversations with in life. And I got to this guy, Tommy, and after I talked to him, interviewed him, we sat on the line for another hour and talked. And he kind of pulled me headfirst into this organization, Whistle Kick, which is up around your way. I don't know if you're familiar
I've
with
heard
them.
of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you should, or if you could, you should make it to Marshall Summit next year, because it was, it was
Where's
the
that?
best. Keene, New Hampshire, so kind of adjacent to.
Oh, I know exactly where Keene is. Okay.
I'm coming all the way from Louisville, Kentucky, so it's a larger trek for me than it
Yeah,
is for
yeah, it
you
is.
in Massachusetts. But anyway, so they were like, you should come to this event. We do this event and it's so great and blah 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 blah. And if you've been in martial arts for 32 years, you're like, yeah, I'm sure your event is great. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you're
I'm
just
sure
like,
yours is the best one with the best
uh,
judges, right? Okay.
yeah, I'm sure yours is absolutely the best in every way. And then I'm like, fine. Like, so he did that. He got me in touch with 2 other people. Like they were like doing a sales pitch. It wasn't a sales pitch, but what they were doing, like, I was like, I've never been pursued this hard to come to a martial art event. So I was like, fucking fine. I'm going to come. You guys
Yeah.
can calm down. And then they were like, great, there's the banquet. And I was like,
Banquet to go to.
so I declined the banquet, like, gracefully. And then, like, Saturday, day of the event, was like, if I would have understood your all's culture, I probably would come to the banquet. I'll be to the banquet next year. They don't call anybody teachers. Everybody that is presenting a class is a presenter. Everybody wears name tags. Name tags don't have ranks on them. These are all things that are done kind of intentionally. Whistle Kick was founded by the idea that that everybody in the world would be a better place if everybody took martial arts for 6 months. And so then you got to make it accessible. So then Martial Summit is a 4-day event that takes place in Keene, and it's free for those 4 days. Like, all the instruction's free. And I mean, I think it's great. But in doing that, I was like, oh, that's what I was missing in my 32 years, was the fellowship part of instruction. And so, like, yes, you have students, they need to go to tournaments.
Yeah.
Even if they don't want to be a competitor, they should go once or twice. They should try it. Why? It's hard. It's very difficult. If, let's say, you're just doing forms, we're not even talking about sparring or anything. You're getting up in front of hundreds of people. All the eyes are on you. There's not as much judgment on you as you think in your mind there is. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to perform this to the best of your ability. You have to remember it and display your technique. And it's good exercise. But also, all of the other peers that you meet, because they're not all from your school, that you then get to, like, oh, I've got a martial buddy that's up in Keene, New Hampshire, or in Philadelphia now. You know what I'm saying? And, like, you wouldn't have that if you didn't. And I think the expansion of the world helps keep our minds open. And so I think that it's definitely, everybody should compete.
I agree. For sure. For sure.
Okay. Favorite martial arts movie? What do you got?
Oh God, I don't know any. I'm so bad at movies. Wait, wait,
it.
hold on. I haven't even seen Enter the Dragon in full. I'm not gonna lie. I literally haven't. But I'm not a big movie person. Yeah, I get made fun of a lot. Because I don't even watch, like I haven't even seen, like, American Pie. And I get made fun of all the time for that. Yeah, see? Look at your face. God damn it.
I haven't seen American Pie.
I know. I'm just not a movie person.
Good Lord. Okay, that's fair. I'm going to, like, I'm going to say,
you're going to send me a bunch of movies now?
No. Everybody hangs Enter the Dragon as the martial arts film, you know? Like, everybody's like, that's the one. And it infuriates me, because if you are going to watch a Bruce Lee martial arts movie and it is not Game of Death, you're messing up.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, no. So here's the thing, just very, very quickly. Bruce Lee choreographed Game of Death, the final boss fight, and it's 5 levels. And he made the choreography to represent the average martial arts practitioner's progression in martial art.
That's super cool.
So the first floor, the first fight that exists, is pretty much like your beginner white belt, yellow belt level stuff. And then it goes up rank. And then, like, the final is supposed to be black belt or mastery. And so, like, watching it from that perspective as a martial arts nerd, you're like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you do end up sitting down and watching a movie, you should make it.
That's a good one. Okay. All right, cool.
Okay.
Wait. You should do it again. Ready? Ask me what my favorite martial arts movie is.
What's your favorite martial arts movie?
Kung Fu Panda, hands down. Close second, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Good. That's good. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, the amount of people that are like, Ninja Turtles got me into martial arts, you know?
It's crazy. It's actually, though. Actually, you know, well, you're older than me. I don't know if you'll remember this one, but sorry. You've been doing martial arts for as long as I've been alive, Paul. I'm not gonna lie. I'm 30.
I have to go. I just broke a hip. I'm sorry.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I have so many kids coming in from, Ninja Drill. Do you remember again, probably not, Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Taylor Lautner was on Team Paul Mitchell,
Yeah.
and he did the XMA stuff.
Okay.
I trained in XMA back in the day, and I
Cool.
remember that movie coming out. We had seen, like, the videos that, like, Mike Chet put out or whatever, and Taylor Lautner
Right.
was doing his thing and stuff, and then Shark Boy and Lava Girl came out, and we were like, "No way!"
And
He's
that wasn't
great
enough
too,
to
he's
that
fantastic.
wasn't enough to make you watch the movie.
I did watch Shark Boy and Lava Girl, I did watch that one. That was my generation, man, that was
Okay. Okay, that's good. I love that I've been doing martial arts longer than you've been alive. It'll
what
actually
how
be
long did you say? 29 years? 30 years?
I've been doing martial arts for 32 years and I've been teaching for 29 years. That
Good for
an
you.
anniversary of everything goes up by a year, May 20th.
Good for
So
you, man.
May
Yeah,
20th is my martial birthday.
I'm 30, so so sorry.
Well, I'm 42 and I'll be 43 next month.
Good for you, man. But you know what?
Yeah.
Martial arts is one of these careers that really keeps you young, isn't it?
Absolutely. That is a conversation that is had on this podcast often because
But I bet your body feels like it's 80. Mine does. Maybe it's just because I have MS
really
attack. Like I said, I had a car accident, so I have a lot of back issues. My spine isn't
had a
aligned
car
anymore.
accident. Not had car accident. Not had car accidents. I was born with a birth defect as well.
Oh, okay.
So I have spent a good born with a birth defect, operated on when I was just over 2. I was 26 months old when I was operated on. They waited as long as I could because my chest was going to cave in and kill me, but they hadn't done a surgery on somebody that young, so they thought the surgery could possibly kill me too. I'm here, fine. But so I did that, and then it was kind of a fight to get my parents to agree for me to do martial arts.
Mm,
And if it wasn't for my grandfather going, the boy can do it, let's just do it, then, I probably wouldn't have been able to start. But from 10 to 11 was about fighting that demon, right? Well,
right.
then from like 11 to 13 or 14 did that one time really stop it? Did it really, you live in like a victimized fear.
Mhm.
Then by the time I get to 14, it's like, oh, seems like it has.
Mm,
The opportunity arose that I could start junior teaching at that level. And I started junior teaching. And then it became like 14 or maybe 16 is where that started, was like, I'm going to study physical movement so that I can work on this structure. The 20s were working on in here and in here
yeah.
from clearing the trauma of the abuse. So it's always been like, I had a martial arts instructor very early on in my tenure, I guess we will say that as a martial artist, what we should do is we should pick what we are weakest at and focus our training on that.
I
And
agree.
then reevaluate. When that thing becomes a strength, pick the next weakness. And he's like, sometimes you might double back down on some things, but you're always improving the weakest point of yourself. And it clicked.
It's very
So
humbling, isn't it?
it really
To
is
always
because
just look in the face of, like, your worst feature
yeah,
and to be like, "How can I make this better?" And then once you make it better, you're like, "What's my next worst feature?"
right.
It's very hum
I guess we got to do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right? But you know that at the end of the journey, you're just gonna feel so much better about yourself and the way that you carry yourself and your confidence but it's a journey that never ends, right?
So my body, to loop it back around, feels like it's in its 30s, except for
Good
my
for you.
hands. My hands have had, like martial artists, our hands take so much abuse. My hands are
Yeah.
probably 70, but
Yeah.
everything else
Yeah.
is good.
I don't know, I've always been my whole life, I've been super, super active, then this car accident happened, and it really messed me up. I've been like I said, I broke my right ankle, but being getting back on the mat too quickly and teaching on a knee scooter and teaching on crutches, it's just screwed my back up even more. So I actually about a month and a half ago, I started an 18-month chiropractic rehab. Yeah, yeah. So, Definitely, my back is definitely worse than I thought it was. I knew something was up because everything hurt, and I can't like I said, I've always been active. In the last, like,
Mhm.
5 years or so, I've slowed down completely. Like, I can't stand for too long or my ankles start throbbing, you know? I wrap them up so I can't feel them, and I make it work,
Right, right.
you
That's what
know?
most of us do.
That's what we do. I take a bunch of salt baths and I like, you grin and bear it. But I think, again that martial arts mentality of, like, "I'll get through it," it definitely
Mhm.
prevented me from looking for help
Mm,
because if it's hurting, it's working, right? Not really realizing that, well, no, your hips are completely unaligned, your neck's at a kink, your elbow's dislocated, your shoulder's out of place. I just
right.
found that all out a month and a half ago.
Well, hopefully the chiropractor helps. They
So
crack
far,
all your
honestly,
bones.
it's not just like a 1-2 crack you kinda place.
Mm,
It's a whole, like, body rehab, and a month and a half in, and I'm feeling better already.
that's great.
Yeah,
Great to hear.
yeah,
Love
so
that. Okay, so I keep these at about an hour.
yes,
We're barreling past it. What didn't I ask? What did you not want to
I
say
don't
that you didn't
know.
get a chance to say?
I don't know. Good job.
Thanks. That wasn't what I was hoping for, but okay.
Well, hold on, this one.
Good. Okay. Do you want to tell the people where they can find you if you want to
Sure,
be found?
sure, you can find me, Legacy Martial Arts and Fitness in Southeastern Massachusetts, at legacymaaf.com. That'll probably change because that's very wrong English.
Mm,
MAAF, because MAF was already taken. If you were wondering why I did that, that's why.
okay.
But I'll
Okay.
probably change it eventually. But right now, that's where you can find me.
Okay. I will also add, love your profile picture
My profile.
because
Where's my profile picture?
your
Oh,
profile
oh, at the
picture is
tournament?
you in the huddle.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I love about it is for me, it embodies everything that a martial arts instructor should be,
Thank you.
as opposed to everybody else's profile picture that's on Facebook that is what every martial arts ego thinks that it should be. Do
Oh,
you know
you
what I'm
mean
saying?
holding up the sidekicks? That's in my cover photo, but
Damn it, Lauren.
that's true. That it's we are in leadership positions.
Right, right.
I hate calling
And
myself a boss. I hate being
you're
a
the
boss.
leader and you are there with your people. You are part of that huddle, and that's really important. So I like that.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody that watched, listened, some combination thereof. I want to thank you for sitting down because you gave me time, and time is the most precious commodity that we have far too little of. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for
But
rescheduling 19 times for me.
it wasn't 19.
Appreciate
It's
you.
fine. I also thank everybody, especially you, because you gave me something that I am going to steal and use for being a part of my martial arts journey, whether you like it or not. That's why I do this. And everybody, keep kicking.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me, Paul.